I respectfully acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, the world's oldest educators and the traditional custodians of the land on which this podcast was recorded, Darkin Jung Country, surrounded by the beautiful Booty National Park, Brisbane Water and Putty Beach. The land we learn, teach, play and walk upon always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Teaching is one of the most rewarding vocations, yet great teachers are burning out and leaving the classroom in record numbers. Welcome to the PDHPE and CAFS podcast with your host, Kel Bell. This podcast empowers busy New South Wales teachers of PDHPE, CAFS and HMS to teach with confidence, clarity and ease. I understand the challenges of teaching because I've lived them. With more than 2 decades in education, I've journeyed from classroom teacher to becoming New South Wales' trusted voice in PDHPE, community and family studies and health and movement science. Together with leading experts and teachers just like you, we're here to help you reclaim your afternoons, weekends and holidays through practical resources, supportive memberships and powerful professional learning. Ready to reclaim your time? Access your classroom-ready PDHPE, CAFS and HMS tools at thelearnnet.com/tools. So grab a cup of tea or coffee and let's chat about creating impact in your classroom without burning out in the process. Hello. I hope you are very well. A huge welcome back to the PDHPE and CAFS podcast. We are in for a real treat today because we are looking at some ideas that we have been chatting to other primary PDHPE teachers about, and look also primary teachers who are teaching PDHPE. It is such a tricky time right now as we navigate the brand new primary PDHPE syllabus here in New South Wales, and we've been having lots of really rich, awesome conversations with primary PE teachers as well as primary classroom teachers. So today we are looking at some really easy strategies that you can implement and incorporate into your primary PE lessons. And I know that not everyone has done some sort of formal training in primary PDHPE PE, but some of us have. Some of us are PDHPE specialists now working in a primary school setting. So we've kind of got a bit of a combination of both. So I hope that today's conversation is very rich, is very practical, and as always, you'll take some very important strategies and tips and tricks that you can use in your classroom tomorrow. So I want you to close your eyes for a second or think about what a typical primary PE lesson might look like. Now, if you're walking across the playground and you glance over and you see your colleagues teaching PE to your students, or you observe your primary PE specialist at your school or in another school context, I want you to think about what that lesson looks like. So if we were observing from an outsider's perspective, what would that look like? So take a moment and think about what you see. What are the kids doing? I like to kind of use that Y chart. So what can we see? What can we hear? What can we feel? And I think it's important for us to think about and reflect what a good one looks like in our setting. So take a moment to think about and to visualize what a good primary PE lesson looks like, or maybe even what you currently see at your school. Because if we don't sit back and reflect, then I suppose we're kind of just doing the same old thing. And we are creatures of habit. We often go and revert back to what we've done for such a long time. And I think it's important for us to sit back and think about what we're currently doing to then make improvements to, engage our kids. And we are at such a crucial time right now with our new syllabus right here. We have literally 6 months to prepare, and a lot of us haven't prepared, and that's completely okay. There are so many new syllabus documents that we need to get our head around, and it is completely normal to feel like this, to feel underprepared, under the pump, stressed out, and we literally have, like it's at our doorstep, but we know with the pressures of school, term 2 is madness anyway, but we literally have two terms to prepare for the brand new K-6 primary PDHP syllabus. Now, I want you to think about that lesson that you visualize in your head. Like, what can you see the kids doing? What equipment do they have? What's happening? What does it look like? What does it sound like? And what could the kids potentially be feeling in that particular lesson? Because today I want to take you on a bit of a journey into what a good primary PE lesson looks like. Now, we all know formative assessment, and if you haven't uncovered that in your teaching or in your pedagogy, formative assessment kind of combines like good practice with feedback, with checking for understanding, for making our students, be part of the learning. There's 5 main elements. And one of the really important parts of it is about learning intentions and success criteria. And we know in lots of primary schools that has been not rammed down our throat, but it has been the focus of schools probably for the last 5 to 10 or even 15 years. So we're going to I'm going to show you what a good PE lesson looks like. I don't have kids in front of me, but I can take you and walk you through it in the best way possible. Visually with my, hands, but also by listening to this podcast episode. And if you're watching the YouTube back, a huge hello. If you're watching our Instagram live and our Facebook live, a huge hello to everyone. And we also would love on Spotify for you guys to engage with this. So please ask questions as you go. So I'm going to share with you what a good primary PE lesson looks like. And I can tell you, I have seen lots of different primary school PE lessons as an observer, as a student myself, back in the 90s and 80s. And look, like I said, we've been having lots of really good conversations with primary teachers because if primary PE isn't your thing, if sport and movement and PE isn't your thing, you are in the same boat as so many other teachers because it hasn't been part of so many degrees, and it is a very small part of your learning at university. I would say a couple of weeks at max, maybe a couple of assessment tasks. So first of all, we have 5 things that I want to share with you about primary PE of what a good one looks like. The first one is embedding fundamental movement skills with your students. The new syllabus here in New South Wales, there is a massive focus on fundamental movement skills. And I want you to think about that term, fundamental. When they present to us in primary school, a lot of our kids might not be able to catch a ball, throw a ball, skip, hop, dodge, side gallop. But that's our job as primary teachers, to teach our kids those fundamental movement skills to move in life. We have a moral obligation to teach these skills to our kids. And for many of us, especially who aren't primary PE or who aren't PE trained, it's not second nature. Like, it's not second nature for us to love this. I am a sporty person. I loved PE as a kid. I love sport. I'm not a primary PE specialist. I'm a high school PDHP specialist. But if you can teach your students how to read and write, you can teach fundamental movement skills. And that's been a very big focus for us over the last 2 years. We are sharing that, and we are providing the resources and the support so you feel so much more confident in what you're doing as a primary teacher. If you're a primary PE teacher, this is like bread and butter for you. You know this hands down, but I think somehow it's snuck into primary schools that we're teaching sport and we need to have tactics and strategies and, all these, elaborate sporting equipment. And what we're really kind of advocating here at the Learning Network is to go back to basics. The new K-6 primary PDHP syllabus is encouraging teachers to go back to basics, because often we're focusing too much on sport and then our kids suffer. Our kids miss out because we're not teaching elite sport. We're teaching fundamental movement skills for life. And some of these fundamental movement skills help us as growing adults, as teenagers, to thrive and to flourish. But if we're not teaching them from like a basic level, from a fundamental level, then our kids are missing out. So there are lots of resources that NESA have provided to teach fundamental movement skills. That's the first part. There are resources out there to help you. There is a phenomenal resource that is on the NESA website in the teaching support document of what this looks like, cues, how to break it down, how to make it super easy. Like I said, if you can teach kids how to read and write, if you can teach kids how to multiply and divide and do their times tables, it is literally putting that hat on and going, you know what? I'm going to use that approach to teach fundamental movement skills. I'm going to model it. I'm going to demonstrate it. I'm going to get my kids to help me, and we're going to learn together these fundamental movement skills. In terms of what they look like, there's about 12 of them. So there's a lot, but if we're teaching phonics and all those sorts of things and our sight words, we can teach you stuff, trust me. And if you're like, okay, these are all great in practice, like I can read the document from NESA, but what does it actually look like in my class? That's exactly what we've been doing over the last 18 months, preparing teachers for the brand new syllabus inside our K to 6 primary PDHP membership. More on that later. So fundamental movement skills, you should see that in your primary PE lessons. If you can't see elements of fundamental movement skills, you're not doing it all wrong, but we're using the wrong lens. We're using the wrong lens. We're using the lens of sport. We need to use the lens of fundamental movement skills. And then we add the extra layer where we've done this, then we can maybe incorporate some games towards the end of that learning block. But we can't start with the sport. We need to teach fundamental movement skills first. That's the big one. And like I said, there are lots of resources that NESA have provided, that we're providing for teachers, the support, like the confidence to help build those skills for you to actually deliver this. So that's the first one. What a good one looks like is we will see fundamental movement skills. We will see our kids learning them, picking them up, demonstrating them, and getting our kids to actually help us with that. The next thing that we will see in like a good primary PE lesson is a variety of equipment. We might not see like full on, using the netball court. We might be using a part of the netball court. We might be using sorry, that's more about space, but, it could be a variety of different balls. It could be a whole bag of netballs and some little squishy toys and some bean bags and some little mini cones, cricket bat. It does not matter, but the variety of equipment is important. We know our kids thrive off variety. And even as a high school PDHP teacher, we want to have like a whole heap of equipment under our belt when we're doing practical lessons, when we're doing PE lessons. So Sporting Schools is a great resource for you guys to have access to. They give out grants, I think it's every term, to schools. And if you're like, we don't have any money around for new equipment, this is a perfect solution for you. And Lyndall, our primary PDHPE mentor, has been sharing that with our members. Like, if you're short on resources, if you're short on equipment, access the free resources, like the budget, the money from the Sporting Schools grants to help you. So you can use anything in your sports shed. You can use anything in your primary PE space or even in your classroom to teach fundamental movement skills. Your whiteboard becomes your vertical jump board. Your carpet becomes your broad jump. Your chairs become like a cone or a space for dodging. If we can incorporate fundamental movement skills in our classroom, that's even like icing on the cake. All it takes is 5 minutes a day, 5 times a week. There's 25 minutes of movement in your class. That's a little sneaky tip as well. So variety of equipment is essential. A really fun one to invest in is like get some squeaky dog toys. Lyndall at our K to 10 PDHP forum introduced us to these squeaky chickens. I think they first of all came from Kmart. They were like I think they were like a Christmas version of this squeaky chicken. It was a dog toy, but she had seen them at Kmart and thought these are going to be so fun for the kids. She's a primary PE teacher, and so she bought a whole heap for her primary school, and then she brought them to the K to 10 PDHP forum. They were so funny. Just the noise, just the squeaking, it will add like a lot of extra engagement, a lot of stimulation in your primary class. But they are super fun. So anything that you can find, Heart Sport, any of those places, those sporting companies, they have lots of really fun equipment. Really think outside the box with your primary PE stuff. Okay, number 3 of what a good PE lesson looks like, primary PE lesson looks like, is the use of space. Now, you can use any space in your school to bring primary PE to life. You probably won't have any more than 32 kids in that space. You shouldn't be teaching 60 kids at once. So it could be just a class. It could be in the undercroft. It could be in a small space in your hall. It could be on the playground, wherever it is, on the backfield, if you're lucky. Wherever that space is, I want you to think really creatively in that space. Primary teachers, you guys are so good at being creative. It's time to put that creative hat on again and to bring your physical space to life, even in your primary classroom. Like I said before, your actual physical space, your 4 walls in your primary classroom, you can bring that to life as well. You don't have to use a sporting venue outside to bring primary PE to life. The use of space is essential. And getting your kids to use and to move in that space is like a secret ingredient. We can do lots with such a small space. We just have to think outside the box. And primary teachers, you guys are so good at that. So using different space, Lyndall shared at the K10 forum just like some white tape to block off areas. I know Suze Langford, who presented a session, she used mini cones, lines on your school playground, anything that's there. You don't have to spend much money. You just have to think outside the box. So using that space is really important. Okay, number 4 of what a good one looks like is getting your students to model and to help you with the teaching. If you're not sure how to do a side gallop, then you would get your kids. It's a side step, so it's not that hard. But if you're not quite confident in your own body, and look, a lot of primary teachers aren't. Some of you guys aren't, sporty, or you don't love sport, and that's okay. Becoming aware of your body and how it moves is really important. That's like a fundamental movement skill for you. But if you're not confident, get your kids to help. Get your kids to, like you would do with peer learning, get your kids to help you teach these fundamental movement skills in class. So if you're not sure about your skipping, or if you've got an injury, get your kids to skip and then show each other, okay, look, Claire has, her body's really upright. She's kind of swinging her arms. She's skipping with her legs. One knee's coming up and landing. Like, use the kids as a demonstration. You don't have to demonstrate it. And if you're progressing the kids further, maybe in stage 3, and you're not quite sure how to, progress that movement, get your kids to do it. And even high school PE teachers, get your kids to help you demonstrate those movements. I know for me, I was not very good at hockey or tennis or even basketball. I'm a netballer, so a lot of my basketball skills looked more like netball. And so I would get my kids to do a layup. Okay, here, Anna, can you show the class how to do a good layup? I would break down the skill for them because I'm good at that. I'm good at breaking down the skill, instructing the kids, but actually physically doing it, I wasn't always that crash hot. I would use my go-to movements, but getting the kids to be involved in that is really important. So something that Lyndall has been really sharing is I do, and if it's you or the student, I do, we do it together. Let's practice together. Let's give each other clues and tricks and tips and, feedback for each other. And then you do. You have a go yourself. So I do as a teacher or the instructor. It could be the kids demonstrating. We do it together as a class or even as a small group. And then you do. You can then demonstrate that yourself. Okay, the last one, the last little tip is that fun engagement is going to be noisy, and your other classes in your school are going to hate your class because they're going to be laughing. They're going to be yelling. They're going to be loud. Because engagement in class should look like people having fun, should look noisy and sound noisy, and a good one looks like the kids actually all being involved at once. It breaks my heart when I used to see classrooms or kids just standing there waiting their turn on their PE field or in their hall. Your kids shouldn't have to stand there and wait their turn. We should have enough equipment and use our space well for everyone to have a turn. It doesn't have to be all at once, but everyone else waiting for their turn should be like quite close to being ready to go again. So it should look like little mini stations. It should look like lots of equipment. If you're short on equipment, like I said, sporting schools grant, absolute gold. Ask and advocate for your school. We need more sports equipment. We don't have enough. It's old, it's drab, it's broken. Okay, let's get some more equipment for our PE storeroom, for our classes. And like I said, primary teachers are very creative, so use anything that you have at your disposal to bring this to life. So it should be fun, it should be noisy, it should be loud, and that's the whole point. When we are excited, our kids will be loud. They'll be laughing. They'll be clapping. They'll be cheering for each other. That's what it should look like and sound like. So let's quickly recap our 5 strategies or little tips of how we can bring our primary classroom to life for PE. First one, fundamental movement skills, absolute gold. Second one, using a variety of equipment. Don't just stick to the ball sports or the bats and, the hockey sticks, maybe not hockey sticks in primary school. You should have some rubber ones. So using lots of equipment, use of space, creative, move around. Don't just stick to the same spot. You can even use your own primary classroom. Students are modelling and learning together. And number 5, it should sound fun, noisy, engaging. And what I would really love to finish off on is it should be intentional. Now, I'm going to share a secret with you that probably shouldn't say out loud, but I know for my own PE lessons, I wasn't very intentional. I wasn't very organised. I was focusing so much on my senior classes. I'd focus all my time on that. And I'd be like, oh, I've got, year 8 PE next and we're doing netball again. I would make sure, if I was doing this again, I would be so much more intentional with everything that I did. I would have a clear plan of attack. So if you're short on time, and all primary teachers are, all teachers in New South Wales are, to bring these ideas to life, we have so many resources. You'll never feel like you're alone. You'll never feel like you don't have those resources at your fingertips. So Lyndall, our primary PDHPE mentor, has developed absolute gold inside our K-6 primary membership. The resources that are in there are second to none, creative. They will save you so much time if you're not confident in yourself teaching these skills, the fundamental movement skills. She's created cue cards. She's created station cards. She's created Google Slides, 162 different Google Slides that you can use in your primary class, in your actual classroom, during a learning block, during a break, to bring these fundamental movement skills to life. So if you are a primary teacher here in New South Wales and you're like, Kel, I have not had time to even touch the new syllabus, we are here. We are in your corner. We're going to make it super easy for you guys. So head to thelearnnet.com/primary. That's where you can go to check out our primary PDHP membership. We are supporting lots of schools and lots of teachers in New South Wales. And we've had 18 months worth of schools experimenting with our resources. And they're saying, hands down, absolute gold, best decision we've made for our primary PE resources. So like I said, 5 things that you can do to improve on what we're doing to actually build on our primary PE classes. But if you have any questions, please let us know. If you would love to check out our primary PDHP membership, thelearnnet.com/primary. Primary is where you can head. Have the most fantastic week. I'll see you guys again on the podcast next week. And if you have any questions, please pop it under our YouTube links as well as on Spotify. Would love to have a combo. Thanks so much, guys. Have the most amazing week. This episode was brought to you by the K-6 Primary and 7-10 PDHP memberships, the CAFS Collective, and the Health and Movement Science membership. Our community is designed to support and empower busy teachers like you. Explore them along with a suite of helpful teaching tools at thelearnnet.com. If you've loved today's episode, don't keep it to yourself. Share with a colleague, take a screenshot and tag me on Instagram at kellybell.coach. I love seeing what resonates with you. Make sure you subscribe to Apple Podcasts or Spotify to stay connected. And if you took even one thing away from today's chat, I'd be so grateful if you could please leave us a review. See you next week. Here's to finally reclaiming your time as a busy New South Wales teacher.